सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Om. Okay, so let me pull up PDF. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Acha. Okay, so who would like to read? And Anand, read. Okay, Anirudh and Anand. Both of you can flip. So Anirudh, you can start, and then.
Did you say Anirudh to start or Anand? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Anirudh can start.
Oh. Hi, good morning, everyone. So, do I start from the top or how do I choose a guru? How do I?
How to choose a guru? Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, how to choose a guru? To choose a guru can also be a problem. Do you find the teacher with the longest or the whitest beard? So much is said by so many, everyone claiming to know the truth. Given all this confusion, first and foremost, I would say that the best teacher is one who looks at the whole human problem as an error. If someone says you have a problem, then that person is going to manipulate you. If, however, the person says that the problem that you seem to have is an error, then he or she is objective. And if the problem is real, no one will be able to resolve it. If the situation is factually real, how can it be changed? If I am really an inadequate and limited person, then there is no way of my solving the problem of inadequacy with or without help. The limited is always limited. But here, there is no need to say, if I am a fraction of the whole, I will always be a fraction of the whole. If I am the whole, the conclusion that I am a fraction is an error, and way out is to see myself in the proper light. Thus, the one who says the problem is an error and that it is a universal error, not your own personal error, may be a guru. In order to know that I am the whole and therefore acceptable to myself, it is said, maybe go to one teacher, Guram Abhigachat. What kind of a teacher? The Veda itself says that the teacher should be the one who is well informed in this teaching and who is well rooted in this knowledge. One who is Srotriya and Brahma Nistha, but Nishtha. But how do I know whether someone is well informed or not? If I want to study higher mathematics and do research in topology, I would only find someone who has studied higher mathematics and specialized in uh, topology. If I find a person who has published numerous credible papers on topology, I would assume that he or she knows the subject matter. I can then decide to study with the person until he or she proves otherwise. In guru seeking, however, there's a problem because this knowledge, being spiritual knowledge, is different. How do you know the person has this knowledge and has undergone the discipline of learning unless you already know something of it yourself? The society should be informed enough for one to be able to find out whether a person knows or only pretends to know. The person could also be deluded, not pretending to know, but thinking he or she knows. Such people do not know what they do not know. Previously, in Indian society, this was not a problem because everyone is supposed to become a sannyasi eventually. One did not start another life after retirement. But nowadays, people plan their retirements early. Still, the best retirement plan to be ever conceived is sannyasa, which was meant to be the last stage of one's life. Having been married and so on, the time comes when you just walk out, not because of a quarrel or because you want to marry another person. Walking out is considered a part of married life and is appreciated by both husband and wife as its ultimate aim. At this stage, they have matured and are independent enough for a life of sannyasa. This kind of retirement plan requires no social security, only the maturity to walk out as a renunciate. Since the Indian society respects the sannyasa stage of life and the Veda enjoins it, naturally the basic needs of a sannyasi are taken care of by the society. Although some people postpone, so you have to scroll up, something has come up as a pop up. Ah, okay. Also, some people postpone this stage of life. Everyone is expected to become a sannyasi in the end.
Okay, so we covered quite a bit. Some topics are very familiar because we definitely addressed the guru topic in vast detail in the past. But I see a couple of new faces, so I don't want to be presumptuous and say that, okay, we've covered it, so therefore we can't speak about it. So I would just open this floor up for any questions on what we've just read and give it a few seconds. Are there any questions here? Okay, so the Guru Lakshana, everyone's clear what Brahma, Shotriya, Brahmanishta represent?
Could you expand on those concepts?
Yeah. So a Brahma Shotriya is one who belongs to a sampradaya. To give a recap, parampara is akin to a pipe through which water flows. And the water over here is a sampradaya that flows to the parampara. So the parampara is kind of the scaffolding through which the sampradaya is able to pass through from guru to shishya to guru to shishya and so on. And this is a continuous lineage. There are no breaks or interruptions because if you break, a portion of a pipe, the water is going to leak out, and you're not going to have the complete flow. And in the same manner, the parampara is complete only when it is uninterrupted, when it does not have any breaks, that is, and when the individuals who belong to this parampara are sampradayavits. So, sampradayavit is one who knows the sampradaya. And so, then now we can focus on what the sampradaya is. The sampradaya, and at this point, I just request folks, if you're on the call, please show yourselves. It'll be wonderful, and it's one of the requirements. I just once in a while I'll remind everyone. Um, so I know Nikita, I know there are some things happening at your end, so that's fine. But everybody else, if you may. The sampradaya with is one who has been chiseled by their own guru. So we are all coming as very rough and not so individuals. And the guru does some work on us. And it's a beautiful work because the guru is a master sculptor. And one has to be put under the chisel of the guru to be able to have the same vision as the guru. So if the vision is kind of a reality that one is trying to emulate, the chiseled sculpture, that reality, it is a living, breathing, figure that is passed through this rigor of the sampradaya, of the parampara. And so the Sampradaya with Guru has a complete understanding of all of the teachings that one requires to see the vision, and not just to see the vision, but also to communicate the vision to somebody else. It's not enough for me to know, it's also required of me to be able to impart what I know without any deviations or adulterations from that vision. The slightest deviation adulterates that vision, and that vision is no longer the vision, it is something else. So this whole thing about Chinese whisper, and everybody knows what it is. That you say something, you whisper something to somebody, they'll whisper it to a third person, and so on. And by the time it comes back to you, it's complete garbage nonsense. It's not even close to the thing that you started off with. And that's what oftentimes happens in all forms of communication. There is something even in data called information loss, and the parampara is sort of a mechanism which ensures that there is no information loss that is taking place. Everything is passed down meticulously, thoroughly, without any compromise. And how does one ensure that the Shishya has the vision same as the Guru? The Guru ensures it. The Guru's stamp of approval enables the Shishya to wear a second hat now, which is the Guru hat. So the Shishya who was a Shishya is now also a Guru. But the Shishya will always remain a Shishya to their own Guru. And then that is how the lineage will continue. So if I have a Guru, my Guru is my Guru, and then my Guru's Guru is called the Param Guru. And then the Guru's is called the Parameshti Guru. And there are different not hierarchies I would say, but there are different names, labels for the Gurus and so on. So this is what you call the Sampradaya. And the Parampara is the thing that sustains the Sampradaya. It is the lineage that sustains the Sampradaya. So the one who is a Sampradaya with is a Brahma Shrotriya. Okay, so Brahma Shrotriya has very clear markers. You can't mistake somebody to be a Brahma Shrotriya if one has any basic understanding of our Adhyatmic tradition. It's very simple. You belong to an uninterrupted parampara. You have been stamped by your own Guru as somebody who is capable of teaching. Then one can rest assured that this person is a Brahma Shrotriya. I won't take names, there are many exclusions. We've seen all over the place. Some of the mega gurus, some of the most popular, they're not really gurus, but some of the most, I would say, outward and loud and extroverted speakers that you see on television or interview shows and such, those are not really gurus because there is no parampara associated with it. Typically, a guru is one who will not invite oneself onto a platform, but the guru is one who is available for a shishya to show up. And then all of their time, their attention, their devotion, their compassion is dedicated to their respective shishyas. They're not here to educate an audience. They're here to educate a small number of quality students. That is one way one can really identify a guru. You won't see the guru addressing nameless, faceless masses. The guru is one who reaches out and who connects and who knows your history, who knows your background, who knows something about your own family and so on and so forth. Because all of these things that we bring as our own baggage, psychological or otherwise, is something that the guru is privy to. Because all of that will determine the method and the manner in which the guru will unfold it individually to a person as well. So I've seen this with my teachers, that they have a very keen understanding of their, I won't call it audience because we're not the audience, we're their students. So Brahma Shrotriya. Now Brahma Nishtha. You may have the guru who has this complete Sampradaya understanding, fully entrenched understanding. But it is possible that there may be a person who themselves has some work to do when it comes to cultivating the vision completely. Which is not to say that their communication will be compromised whatsoever. No, the communication can still be clear, but the internalization of that vision may or may not be there. If their internalization of the vision is not there, the person is not a Brahmanishta. The Brahmanishta is one who revels, who dwells, who resides with the truth at all times. In a sense, that person is a Brahmajnani or a Jivan Mukta. That person has already attained Mukti. And so now, having already attained Mukti, which again, there's a misconception that somehow Mukti is attained after a person dies once it becomes Jnani. No. Mukti is attained here and now. At the time of avidya nivritti, which is at the time of elimination of avidya, the jnanam is what classifies one as a jivan mukta. The jnanam alone. The fact that there is no avidya, that I know who I am without any doubt whatsoever. So this person is a Brahmanishta who is steeped, who is rooted, who is anchored to that truth at all times, and therefore is a jnana, because there is no avidya whatsoever. So these are the two things, Brahma Shrotriya and Brahma Nishtha. Now, if there is a person who, due to their Purva Janma Samskaras, has attained all of this knowledge perhaps in a previous life, but there was thoda, Hindi mein se thoda kasar reh gaya, little bit, tiny little bit of, you didn't cross the finish line completely, but you were maybe just about there. That person is again reborn. But very quickly, those samskaras start showing up. They start bubbling to the surface. And it may not be very evident what The rigor of the teaching may not manifest so evidently in such a person. But the person has the vision, and with a little bit of prodding, a little bit of handling, with the blessings of their own guru, this person also cultivates the vision in this life. But given that they have not been through this sampradaic structure and through the parampara, they have not been chiseled, so to speak, in this Janma at least, they may not be equipped to pass that vision down to somebody else as a guru. And therefore, a person who is not a Brahmanistha, a person who is not a Brahma Shrotriya, even though they may be a Brahmanistha, which is a rare thing by the way, I'm talking about rare exceptions, those people are not qualified to be gurus. That is one thing that one has to be very clear about. There is no emotional attachment or detachment or any dispassion or any passion with which I'm making this statement. It's just a matter of fact that if one is a Brahmanistha but not a Brahma Shrotriya, one is still not qualified to be a guru. Now, if the guru is a Brahma Shotriya but not a Brahmanistha, the person can still be a guru because it's possible that the guru may still be a work in progress, provided that they have the complete vision that they are capable of imparting to one. That is fine. But if the guru is a Brahma Shotriya and a Brahmanistha, that is considered a great, great, great bonus. It's a blessing. But the minimum is a Brahma Shotriya. One can study under a Brahma Shotriya. Now, at what point does a Brahman Kshotriya differentiate from a Brahmanistha? It is possible that this Brahma Kshotriya, who has the understanding fully, not the vision completely, but the understanding is complete, that person may be moved about a little bit by some of the vagaries of life. Their boat rocks back and forth a little bit more. Of course, they'll have a lot of stability compared to most of us because they are living with the teaching so closely. But that sthirata is not there, and it is work in progress. And that is okay. So, there may be certain occasions when you may see in their own life, suppose they may get flustered about something or something, whatever. That is not a big deal, and one should not really try to judge the guru. If one is studying under a guru, one has to be very sure that I am suspending all of my judgment. I'm not placing my buddhi on off mode. I'm placing my judgment on off mode, which is that my buddhi is now trying to, how shall you say, trying to mimic the same vision, the same jnana murti that my guru is manifesting in front of me. And I have to allow my mind, and this allowing here is not a verb, it is an effortless thing. The mind has to take the form of the vision that the guru communicates. But if the mind is busy trying to judge the guru, trying to analyze the guru, trying to figure out whether my guru truly knows what they are saying, whether this makes sense or it doesn't make sense, if one gets into those, for lack of a better word, wicked thoughts which really hold us back, the stupid thoughts which really dampen our own nishtha, then the vision will not take place because the allowing the mind to be free and to be capable of grasping the teaching requires no effort on the mind's part, but rather it requires a suspension of the judgment, which allows the mind to take the form of the teaching. If I hold a pen in front of me, the reason I am able to perceive a pen is because the mind takes the form of the pen. If the mind is able to perceive a phone, it is because in that moment the mind has taken the form of a phone. If the mind has to grasp the teaching of Brahma Vidya, of the self as Sachidananda Atma, then the mind has as though to take the form of the pen, which again is we've spoken about that, and I'm happy to get into some more details there as well, which sounds paradoxical, but it's not. Then the mind cannot be preoccupied by any other thought that interferes with that vision. Does that make sense? It has to be very pristine. The mind has to be pristine and available to see the vision. And the seeing is not with the eyes, but the seeing is a deeper seeing, which is to be able to be the teaching, be the form of the teaching. And then that is what you really call akandakara bhakti, when the mind is able to abide in that vision, in that moment. Does that help answer any questions around this? Follow-ups perhaps from anyone? Okay, so then we can proceed. Let me see if there's anything else
Nishant,
that was.
I have a question about the later part of this paragraph where
Mhm.
They talk about taking sannyasa towards the end of one's life. So typically, when for a young person, let's say 30s or 40s, if they've got a lot of unfulfilled desires, it's not recommended for them to take up sannyasa, and it's rather better that they live a worldly life of dharma. So my question is, let's say the person is actually old, closer to the end of their life, and they still have quite a few unfulfilled desires. So in that case, is the natural progression to sannyasa justified, or should they just continue living in the world as a grihastha?
So that's an excellent question, and I have plenty of thoughts on this one. So let's get into some detail here. So there are two types of there are two instances under which one takes sannyasa. One is that you take bala sannyasa in very very rare exceptional cases, which is typically not done these days, and it is because not everybody is Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya ji took sannyasa, I think what 6 or 7 or something like that. I forget the exact age, but yeah, he was my daughter's age, and my daughter is playing with dolls, so it's an exceptionally young age to be at that level of wisdom and nishtha. For most other people, almost everybody, I would say, that sannyasa is taken at a time when one is capable of choosing this path, lifestyle rather, not path, lifestyle. So let's take Pujya Swamiji, because Pujya Swamiji is really a gold standard for all of us, I would say, I would hope. And in this case, like Pujya Swamiji took sannyasa when he was 32. He always had a sense of responsibility. He was the um, eldest of three brothers, three or four, I forget, but he was the eldest brother. His father had passed away when Pujya Swamiji was 8 years old. And Pujya Swamiji had to support his family. He had to get a job. He had to, take care of his younger brothers' education. A lot of things he had to do. He had to take care of his mother and whatnot. And so Pujya Swamiji had a, responsibility on his shoulders, which he very happily met. And then, once those responsibilities were met, with the sense that, okay, once his own brothers were of age, when they could fend for themselves and then look after their mother as well, then Puchu Swamiji gradually, got deeper and deeper into this, and he took sannyas at the age of 32. So now some people take sannyasa as brahmachari. So Puju Swamiji was not married. He knew what his life was meant to look like, and so he took through the teaching, because this had a very high degree of importance of value in one's life, and so that seemed like the very obvious choice. Now, some other people, again to what you're alluding, typically take sannyasa after they forge a happy, healthy, prosperous relationship with their spouse. They have the pleasure, the joy, the privilege of raising children, and through that enterprise, as a father, as a mother, as a grihastha, as somebody who's looking after their own parents, this person has obtained opportunities to grow, to grow, to emotionally mature, to intellectually mature, to become a thorough professional, to break away some of these, I guess, lame habits that we have, such as procrastination and this and that and whatnot, and to just have more discipline that could perhaps have been cultivated when we are younger, but it's never too late. And so this whole married life is really a, a, an occasion for us to reform ourselves so that we are better prepared ultimately for the teaching, for the knowledge. So it is a great opportunity to use karma yoga as a means for emotional adhyatmic growth. Now, what happens is, as one gets older, and for whoever wants to take this seriously, take it seriously, and if not, that's also fine. But don't plan to stay married for the sake of being married. Don't plan to have children for the sake of having children, so that one day they'll go to college and then they'll do this and they'll do that, and then it's okay. It's a responsibility, but see it as a responsibility where one is attaining antakarna shuddhi as a means of living out one's own dharmic and karmic obligations in a very happy way, where you're dedicating the actions to Ishwar and this and that. But the moment we start taking this enterprise too seriously, It's not suddenly going to happen that when one turns 50, 60, 70 years old, that bhakti will light up and suddenly be like, now I want to take sannyasa. Now I want to pursue knowledge. Because this sannyasa is not the goal of the grihastha ashrama. Sannyasa is the natural outcome of grihastha ashrama. Does that difference make sense? The natural outcome of grihastha ashrama should basically be been there, done that. That should be the goal. But that doesn't mean that one will do everything and be everywhere. Okay. That is FOMO. There's a very thin line separating FOMO, which is absolutely psychotic, from being able to live a responsible life where one is taking care of their children and the day to day needs of their family. There's a huge difference. If one gets into FOMO territory, one has just extended a few more lifetimes, not just one life, but a few more lifetimes, because one has created so many new karmas and so many new vasanas that every life after life after life there will be a calling to experience more and more and more and more and more of the world. See, one thing I've seen amongst a lot of, I was having this conversation with Unity also. I was like, we are a little bit like outliers, in our circle. The only connections we really have is because Ambika needs to mingle with people of her age. But when it comes to interacting with the parents of her friends and things like that, it doesn't fit because the typical Indian mentality I've seen these days, as opposed to once upon a time when people, as Pujya Savaji pointed out, there was a basic expectation that one will take sannyasa after getting old. Now everybody has a jalsa lifestyle. Yeah, weekdays we work hard and weekends we play hard, right? And then everybody's like, "Oh, what did you do on the weekend?" TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, so that we can chill. We can do this. We can do that. I mean, I'm not dissing that kind of a lifestyle. I'm just saying that if one is committed to this teaching, then why the hell do you want to waste your life? Do the basic necessity that's required as far as giving your children a healthy emotional and communal growth and the right atmosphere. But anything beyond that, we are only adding more years and years and lives and lives and lives to this already long lasting journey that we've all been on. It's not that we started our journey 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. No. Millions and billions and zillions and trillions and endless, how many ever zeros you want to put? We've lived all of these lives. I bet you that we have done every single thing that a living creature can do, at least in some life or the other. I bet we've tasted every single flavor that is out there in the universe. We've seen every single shade of color that is out there. We've heard every single melody and every single combination and every single rhythm that one can conceive in some life. We've traveled everywhere at some point in our life, and some lifetime at least. When does the journey end? It's already begun a very long time back. When does it end? It only ends when one says, been there, done that. One doesn't say that I want to FOMO for 20 more years and then after that I'll give everything. 20 years later, right now I'm 40 years. After 20 more years, I will let everything go. Because guess what? In the next 20 years, you will already start FOMOing so much that journey will not end. It will only extend. And we want it to end, not extend. But how does it end? It ends in knowledge. What is the knowledge over here? That I don't need to go to a place and I don't need to go to that fancy new joint that opened down the street, especially if it sells meat. And I don't need to do these things because all that there is there, all that there is here, all that I am is nothing but Satchidananda Brahma. If I am all that there is, then why do I need to experience anything because it is not separate from who I am anyway? That is the vision. That is the nishtha. That nishtha will enable one to live a very happy, prosperous, fulfilling grihastha ashrama so that when that age comes, when the children don't require to remain infantilized for a very long time, when they see their own parents are so serious about these things, and when the children themselves gain a certain level of maturity, the parents are not going to hold on to them for too long. And the parents will finally say that, you know what, I have done my part. I have lived a good life. I have given a good life to my children. I have taken care of the needs of my parents. I think I want to commit full time to this teaching. They don't say that, oh, I want to take sannyasa. No, I want to commit full time to cultivating this vision, then what is the next basic step? The basic step there is, what kind of life can I lead which will allow me to fully cultivate this vision? The answer to that is sannyasa. You see, sannyasa is not the goal, it is just the natural outcome of me seeking knowledge. If I am truly a jignasa, and we're not just paying lip service. I'm very frank here. We're not just paying lip service here once a week satsanga. Truly, I treat every one of you all, I treat myself as a jignasu who cannot rest until this vision is cultivated. We cannot be satisfied with ourselves until we have forged a path that takes us to, to the place which is the shortest distance between me and myself. And therefore, I cannot afford to screw around for a single moment longer than I already have. Because this is one life and we've had countless such lives which we've whiled away. Let's not screw with this one, right? This is what really gives us the nishtha, the conviction, that is, to say, I am ready. And then the natural step thereafter is sannyasa. Now, a person may have certain duties that they have to fulfill. Therefore, sannyasa can happen after grihasthashrama. If a person is capable enough, I would say take sannyasa now. If you are in a position, I'm being very, very honest. If I were in that position, I probably would. You have enough that your children are taken care of, your parents are taken care of. That's it. What else do we need in this sandwich phase of life where you're above and below, there's somebody that you have to take care of. There's nothing else that one needs. After a certain age, one has to say, "Okay, good, I'm ready then." So that is sannyasa. Sannyasa begins here, and it just shows up out there. It just shows up in the orange robes. It can't begin with the orange robes and then cultivate here. It has to start here. So, I would say if a person is really into this, at least have. Okay, so then coming to that point. Personally, in my life, I have to take care of the needs of my parents. There are a few things that I have to do, not because I want to do, because I'm not FOMOing into this. I've actually made an inventory, a very well audited inventory list of things that I need to do in this Janma, not for the sake of self or sense gratification, but just as a duty that one has to do as a child or as a parent. Those two things. A very basic inventory. Once I meet those particular goals and financial goals, I try to live a very Spartan life. Okay, we are very Spartan. We have decent jobs and our lifestyle is very simple. I'll always buy a used car. My cars, they will never cost more than like $5,000 or $6,000. A new car will typically be $25,000 to $30,000. I'll cap it up and I'll buy like a second-hand car. The reason I do these things is because I want to meet my retirement goals early, so that I can quickly walk away gracefully from this chakkar. Because I don't want to gratify myself. I don't have a strong desire to travel 7 continents. There are some people that I have met at my workplace. They're like, "Oh, I want to make sure that I step foot in all 50 states of the USA." I said, "Usme kya milega, bhai? One state versus the other state, you just drawn a political boundary. What difference?" If you're on a highway, I've driven to the Gurukulam several times, Ashra Vidya Gurukulam. I live in Georgia. Georgia के ऊपर है South Carolina, उसके ऊपर North Carolina. Above that you have Virginia, then you have West Virginia, then you have Maryland, then you have Pennsylvania. Okay, these are all states you have to pass through. When you're on the road, you can't even tell the difference until that sign says, "Oh, welcome to Maryland, welcome to Virginia, welcome to this, welcome to that." Big deal. जाके क्या मिलेगा? Right, at the end of the day, one state, second state, what is one trying to accomplish? If truly we start auditing our excesses in life, we'll see that the majority of things that we do is very infantile. I'm being very, very honest about it. That the majority of the things we do in life are things that one would expect children to do, and myself included. But now I've become very strict in a very happy way, because again, to Anandbhai's point here, suppose one has a lot of unfulfilled desires, there's a very thin line as well between suppression and what is the other word? Suppression versus resolution. Resolution is not the word I'm looking for, but let's use that. When one suppresses a certain desire, they've not cultivated the right viveka. That Viveka is not there. Look at that. You hear the fireworks, it's Independence Day, by the way. That's why there's some, you'll hear some patakas here and there. Suppression means I'm sitting on top of this pressure cooker of desires, which one day is going to blow. That's what happens when some communities, people will take this bal sannyas and all. That doesn't work. Pressure cooker, like that, it will blow. In some age, there will be some emotional, dam that will burst and it will carry one away with it. Okay. Then what is the alternative? Resolution. How does a resolution take place? The resolution here in the form of vairagya is born of viveka. The viveka, when, like for example, I give this whole long spiel right now, that there was little conviction. You could see that there's some conviction behind it. It's not full yet, it's not complete yet, but it's rising, it's growing. And the longer I think about it, the greater is my conviction, because I know that this is not unreasonable. It is a very meaningful thing. It is a very reasonable thing to understand. When one understands the folly of a decision, or when one understands the virtues of a certain decision, one begins to start cultivating a certain viveka, which allows one to discriminate between choice A and choice B. And then if choice A is superior to choice B in terms of viveka, the choice B automatically drops away without me feeling that I've missed out on it. In other words, viveka is the cure to the FOMO, and once that FOMO has dropped away, what it automatically leads to is vairagya. There is no way that one can cure oneself of a FOMO habit. FOMO, for those listening, is fear of missing out. I fear that I will not travel to all the places I want to travel before I die. I fear that I will not taste all the different cuisines in the world before I die. I fear that I will not become rich and successful and well known and renowned and this and that before I die. I fear that I will not live the fullest life that I want before I die. This is what we call FOMO. I fear I will not read all the books and watch all the movies and see all the TV shows before I die. Fear. And this fear is a big part of FOMO. It's the very first damn word of FOMO, the fear of missing out. But missing out means I fear that I am a small, limited, tiny, minuscule, finite little creature. A worthless little creature who will gain a little bit more worth by doing this and by trying that, by eating this and by actually doing that. Okay, this is what is the essence of FOMO. And the cure to this FOMO is to take a step back and ask oneself, what for? Why? Why am I into this? Why am I doing this? How will it help me grow? And is this the cure to the fundamental human problem of self-ignorance and self-limitations, that I feel that I'm a limited finite being? Is this FOMO going to cure it? If the answer is no, then one knows what to do next. Ruthlessly eliminate those choices in your life which get in the way of the vision of the self. Ruthlessly. Be a mercenary. Go after them with a Beretta or whatever weapon of choice you have. Hack at it. Hack it to death. But don't do it in a way that leads to suppression. Allow it to resolve in the fire of Viveka. Viveka has a fire that will burn all within us, which is extra dead weight. That's all. So that is what sannyasa is. Sannyasa begins here. But excellent question. Any follow-ups to this, or we can look at the next one? Okay. So who wants to read this? Anand bhai?
Yeah, I can.
Huh.
The Guru as a renunciate. To be a sannyasi means that one already has the knowledge or is seeking it. Even as a householder, one is supposed to study in order to gain self-knowledge. Once a person becomes a sannyasi, he or she has no daily duties except studying and teaching. Thus, in every village, you will find a few sannyasis coming and going or permanently staying there so that the society knows who knows what, just as we know who is a professor of mathematics and who is not. To do research in mathematics or electronics, we have no doubts about whom we should go to, and which institution we should attend. Definitely, could you scroll? There is, therefore, no problem in choosing a teacher for such knowledge in such a society. If you know exactly what you are seeking and whether or not the person is recognized as having the knowledge to that extent, you can know whether the person knows or not. However, if people do not know these things, then they are totally gullible in spite of their expertise in other fields. For such people, anyone can pass as a guru. A person who has undergone this discipline of knowledge is a scholarly person and is called a Shrotriya. Therefore, a guru is a scholar, whereas a scholar need not be a guru. To be a guru, committed pursuit is also necessity. One who is committed to this knowledge is called a Brahmanishta. This is an important point to understand. If the knowledge is used to gain security, the person is insecure. Moreover, because the knowledge is I am secure, the person does not really know anything about it and is therefore not qualified to teach it. Such a person is self seeking and has no knowledge to give you. All that he or she can give is a collection of words for which you do not require a teacher. You need only a book and a dictionary. The teacher required is one who employs these words and makes them meaningful. To do this, a teacher must necessarily be free from being insecure so that he or she is not seeking recognition or security. The proof of a teacher's knowledge is in the teaching methodology, in the person's communicative ability, and the content of what he or she communicates. Thus, you go to a teacher who is well informed in this teaching and one who is committed to it, one who has no other pursuit. And how should you go to a teacher? With an attitude that indicates you are ready to serve the teacher, meaning you are ready to do what is to be done in order to gain this knowledge because of your love for it. Nothing is too much or no distance is too far. This attitude is not damaging to you because you have chosen the right teacher. Hence, there is no question of the person exploiting you if he or she is a guru. True to the definition of the word guru, a guru exploits no one. Thus, whatever you can do, you will do. This is your attitude. Only then can the teaching begin.
This is profound, so beautiful. Very important to understand also. So I'll pause here for a bit, see if there are any questions. This part is very critical to understand, all of this. Guru should also know how to teach. Otherwise, you're not a guru. You're just somebody who knows. Guru has to have that communication ability. Guru has to be able to relate to the Shishya. Guru has to understand the Shishya's background. Guru has to understand the Shishya's insecurities, some of the problems plaguing the Shishya. Guru has to have the relationship. Today, if one spouse understands the husband, then only it's a happy, successful relationship. Same with the Guru has to have that, you know, uh, good knowledge of what one is all about, as even as an individual. And of course, the Guru cannot be somebody who's insecure themselves, because then the Guru is going to use that Guru dam to, सबको उल्लू बनाने का. Okay, because that becomes another selling point, no? USP. What is my unique selling point? Oh, I'm a guru. That's my USP. I can monetize this. Let's see how we can make money out of this, right? Business कैसे करेगा? Especially if the guru is a gujju. Business and Marwadi also. I'm not excluding Anirudh, yeah. Gujaratis and it's different species we are. But how to monetize. That's what the guru will think about. How to make my organization big. How to go down in history. How to be remembered. The guru will also have these insecurities. If they have these insecurities, they're not a guru. That's what I'm trying to say. The word guru cannot be used for those people. They are just individuals. They're somebody who have some exposure to knowledge. The guru will not have any of this nonsense. The guru is a fire that purifies but doesn't burn. The guru is basically like this you know, so the fire similar to this Agni Pariksha doesn't burn. It just purifies. Just you can come out unscathed on the other side, but what you leave behind is ignorance. That is the only thing the Guru burns. That is why the Guru, is symbolized even through this ochre robes, the Bhagwa Vastram, that these leftists don't like, but Bhagwa. That's why, because it's symbolizing fire, knowledge, Jnanagni. The Jnanagni destroys avidya. Agni purifies. Today, if you even smelt an metallic ore, the iron ore or gold ore or whatever it may be, it comes out pure and shining on the other side. That is what a guru does. We are all rough, crude ores. We pass through this fire of vidya that the guru lights, and then what comes out on the other side is the same resplendent, you jewel that our Swarupa is. It is Sachidananda. It is not different from the Guru Swarupa. There's a very nice thing, I think, Pujya Swamiji's book or somewhere he explained. I think I had talked about it. This I'm not talking about Harry Potter, but this is a very common theme in different cultures also. The Philosopher's Stone, in these ancient days, Bharat also and in other parts of the West also, in Europe and all, they used to have alchemists. Alchemists, had one basic goal in life. How do we turn metal into gold? Any metal into gold, that is. How do you turn lead into gold? How do you transform all of these things? So then there was this philosopher's stone that whatever that stone touches turns everything into gold. But the guru in the Shastras, the guru is compared to something even greater than this. It's called Chintamani, that stone, Chintamani. The guru is even greater because the Chintamani can only convert other things into gold. It can't create a new Chintamani. But the guru can create a new guru also. See? Guru can not only create a Shishya through the interaction, but the Guru can create a new Guru who can create new Shishyas. That is what Pujya Swamiji did. Pujya Swamiji was this the jewel of jewels, the gem of gems. You will not find such great acharyas anywhere. And so many great acharyas he's created who themselves have gone on to create new acharyas. That is the greatness. And what do I mean by create new acharyas? I'm not talking about creating a cult. I'm saying the vision is what makes one a guru. And the guru who was capable of imparting this vision to other gurus made them the gurus that they currently are. And hopefully one day we'll also have that vision. See, there should be no other intention for us to be part of this group except for the fact that I want to truly cultivate this vision without any hold-ups about it. So, yeah, and of course, the guru is not going to take advantage of anyone. That's obviously true because they are a guru. Okay, so any questions on this? Should we proceed forward or linger on some of these topics for a bit? Okay, we can proceed. If Anirudh no, I think you just stepped away, but you'd like to continue reading. Or Anirudh, you're back, no? If you'd like to read this section.
Yeah, sure. The Gita is a dialogue. The entire Gita is a dialogue. In fact, all the teaching is in the form of a dialogue, although the methodology of the teaching does not necessitate the presentation of characters and the dialogues between them. After all, we are not interested in knowing the names of the teacher or the taught. We are only interested in the teaching itself. But then, the characters involved in the dialogue are presented in the form of a story. I can't read the next word.
Akhyayika.
Akhyayika, in order to tell us something about ourselves. We will find the same approach in the Upanishads, where many names of people are cited. If tat tvam asi, thou, that thou art, is a message, why not just talk about that message? Why are all these stories brought in? Only to reveal the method of teaching, the sampradaya. How do we have to learn, and what type of knowledge it is?
So this is very well. Everything that's written here is the whole text is only very important. So it's kind of like a redundant thing to say, but this is also very important, and it's worth hanging around for a bit. So the thing is that I was driving down and like I said, again, you live in the US, you'll see some churches and this and that. So there was some guy who was giving a speech. He was preaching rather. And so my daughter, like Ambika, 5-year-old kid, she's like, she has a sense that, okay, this guy is some kind of religious figure who's respected by a certain community. Then she said, okay, oh, is he also teaching? And I'm like, no, he's preaching. He's not teaching. And then, she actually asked me the difference. So I thought about it for a while, right? Because I wanted to build the right foundational understanding of these things. She's like, what is preaching and teaching? How do they differ? So I said that in preaching, you're just making a bunch of statements that you're asking somebody to accept at face value. Just making a bunch of statements. Accept. Ye karo, wo karo. One day Jesus is going to rise. You know, all this. I don't even want to get into how absurd all of it is, but that's preaching. Or what these imams do. It's preaching. You're just making a bunch of statements, and then you are looking for people to follow. There's no dialogue over there. But when it comes to teaching, teaching is the communication of a vision. In teaching, there is no blind acceptance. There is no andha shraddha. There is only shraddha. And shraddha is not andha. Andha shraddha means somebody says to you, fire is cold. That is andha shraddha. That is idiotic. But if someone says that you are not the limited self that you take yourself to be, then one can't say, no, that is also andha shraddha because my experience tells me I'm limited. No, that means that there is some avidya that needs to be removed, because the fact of the matter is that as one analyzes the statement and one gets really into the root of the teaching, one sees that it is truth. It is true. And that is what you call teaching. Teaching requires a dialogue. Teaching cannot be preaching, because teaching requires a double and or two-sided communication. I communicate as a student to the teacher. I communicate my doubts to the teacher. The teacher quells my doubts. The teacher dispels my doubts. Then I say, but my dear teacher, I understood this part, but I'm not so sure about this. Can you help me understand this? Then that's again, follow-up question. And then you'll continue and you'll continue. This whole Bhagavad Gita is nothing but a set of follow-up questions that, this wonderful, well put together, mature student that we love and adore, that we call Arjuna, has thought of bringing forth to his guru. Chapter 2, he submits. He submits his doubting mind, and he says that yes, please teach me. Shishyas teham shadi mam tvam prapannam. I am ready to study. You just teach. I am here to listen. That is what Arjuna says. On a note, because I sent this message out in the group, but some people I think on YouTube are also listening who may not be in the WhatsApp group, so I'll share it anyway. In the last, I don't know how many decades, there's been this attempt to glorify Karna and to bring him at the same standing as Arjuna. This is a huge mistake. Okay, I want to speak a little bit about Karna and his psychology and why Arjuna is different. See, both of them went through difficult times. People usually, when they remember Vanvas, they think of Ram Bhagwan, but even Pandavas had to go through 13 years plus that 13 plus 1. No, that plus 1 was also there, that they had to go incognito. And anyway, so they had to go through a lot of strife in their own lives, and then of course Karna had to go through some problems of his own. But one person emerged as a grateful recipient of self-knowledge, and the other person was a bitter, vindictive, vengeful guy who instigated the worst out of the Kaurava leader Duryodhana, right? Which is Karna. So Arjuna and Karna can't even be compared, not in their character for sure, and certainly not in their skills also, because I sent out a little bit of a snippet rather, where it talks about the wins and losses of the different battles that Arjuna, Karna, Duryodhana, Yudhishthira, all of these major characters in the Mahabharata engaged in. And Arjuna, had a flawless sort of knockout record. Like he was the heavyweight champion of archers. Okay, I think 48-0. There's not a single loss that's recorded in Arjuna, whereas Karna lost like I think more than half of the time. So they are not comparable as yodhas, as warriors, and they are certainly not even comparable as terms of the character. So why do I say that? It's because even to be a great Shishya, one cannot come with a bunch of insecurities. See, Karna was an insecure person. He's been through a lot of, problems in life, sure. But there are two ways to approach this. I'll give you an example. I was speaking to Unnati about this as well the other day. It's like you could grow up in a very abusive household where your daddy is whipping you with his leather belt and your mommy is out drunk and crying and just always upset about that. You could grow up in that household. And depending on the type of person that you are, you could cultivate two very oppositely motivated characteristics. The first person says, my parents did this to me, therefore, it is right that I do this to my child as well, because why not? The second person says, my parents did this to me, I will never ever do this to my child, because why should I? See, same treatment, two different characters based on the gunas that are at play. And that is again very much the case of Arjuna and Karna. So whoever is listening, please don't ever, speak of them in the same breath. Karna is not even comparable. Now Arjuna was a recipient of self-knowledge through his guru Krishna, because he kept his mind open, he kept his ears open, and he kept his heart open. He allowed for his own ahankara to be subsided in the light of what Krishna had to say, even putting aside some of his wrong notions about the teaching. A person like Karna, and we all have a little bit of Karna in us, and we all have a little bit of Arjuna, we have to be more like Arjuna. What does the Karna in us say? That, oh no, no, life is hard, I need to gratify myself a little bit more. No, 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 what is all this? What is this teaching? TK, see when we are older. That kind of. What else did Karna do? He loved the label Danveer. See, my teacher also said that, this whole thing about Karna being a very charitable person, he wanted to maintain a certain impression to even uphold that ego. Because if you really think about it, when a person, supposedly, let's assume that the person was highly charitable. Okay, koi bhi kuch bhi mangne aayega, I'll give it. Person, if their antakarana shuddhi was so high, it would not enable them to walk on the path of adharma for decades and decades together. Barabar? We can all have some infractions in our life. We all screw up at times. We all make mistakes. I have definitely had my fair share of making a lot of mistakes in life. But you can't do that for a sustainably long period and at the same time have this level of udarta, this udardil, this very kind and generous person that one tends to. It just doesn't work that way. So in Karna's case, even the fact that, because at some point he must have, been a nice little guy who shares pencils and crayons with his teammates and classmates and whatnot, to uphold that reputation, he, presented himself as somebody who will give anything because, oh, मैं कितना बड़ा हूँ देखो, मैं सबको देता हूँ. I only give, I don't take. I don't need anything from anyone. You know why? Because I didn't inherit, a great kingdom and I did not grow up with a silver spoon. I am a self-made man. Okay, that was this Karna's self-made man, chip on the shoulder syndrome. Don't be Karna's. At least don't glorify Karna. Please, he was a Maha loser in the Mahabharata. So I just want to make that little bit of a side point. Okay. Any questions on anything else? Because I think we've hit the 1 hour mark, so we should probably not read further. But I'll just open this up for questions or parting comments. Haji.
In the first section that I read out, there was a statement towards the end that stated, so thus society supports sannyasas and the whole concept of sannyasi. But how does that apply currently? Because obviously, even what Guruji's written is not very long ago, but I do see a gap in maybe. I mean, of course, it's not that I don't know many sannyasis, but I'm just wondering, is the society still designed to support sannyasis? I mean, how is that working? And uh, yeah, just wondering what your thoughts around that is, because it just seems
Yeah.
like
So
there's such a gap, you know. In
yeah, I can give some quick thoughts on that. So the society definitely does support sannyasis to a lesser degree, but here's something. If you look at right from the time when we speak about the Prajapatis and the Sanat Kumaras, and how there was always a ratio of more non-sannyasis versus sannyasis. There's always been a sort of steady flow where the ratio has been relatively maintained, even earlier in earlier times, and now this ratio is coming down a little bit. You see what I'm saying? The ratio of sannyasis versus grihasthas has been coming down to the or with the proportion of people who are also losing their astik bhava over the centuries. I'm not talking about like 5 year, 10 year period. I'm talking about centuries. So as that astik bhava gets lost, there are also proportionally fewer sannyasis who will be born in that social milieu. Barabar? Because suppose you have a generation where there are fewer people who are into this kind of teaching, it is expected that as they age, a proportionately fewer number of people will also take to sannyasa. And therefore, there will always be that healthy balance of people who are astikas who are able to support sannyasas. And so it is true that, compared to 50, 100, 200 years ago, the number of sannyasis that we have today are relatively less. And that is also well balanced by the people who are relatively not so Hindu anymore. And so there will always be people to support. The second thing is that we don't only look at it sociologically as I just did, because I just gave like a sort of a mathematical construct over here. We also suspend a little bit of our calculating mind here and say that, see, for a person who takes to this highest teaching, for a person who has dedicated the entirety of their life, they've given up their belongings, they've donned these Bhagava Vastrams. For this person, Ishvara will take care of them through some nimitta, through some channel, through some grace, through some form of goodwill of some Mahanubhava, some guy, some rich fellow, whatever it may be, they will be taken care of. And I have seen this happen. I'll cite a few things. Pujya Swamiji, he had this Satya Vachanam. He had this great siddhi that what he put his mind to, whatever sankalpa that he took, it would come through. When when you found, see, Pujya Swamiji today, he's, of course, thousands of people would fall at his feet to serve him if there were any need. But when he was fresh out of Chinmaya mission, and he was in the midst of establishing Asha Vidya Gurukulam in the early 1980s, in that era, Pujya Swamiji, of course, was relatively unknown, and he had to establish himself as a person who's, able to basically carry so many students along with him and establish a Gurukul. So when they first established the Ashavidya Gurukula, there was not, so much certainty about funding kahan se aayega. How will one be able to feed the individuals who come to the what is it called, the Sanskrit word for cafeteria to eat? And so kya kare? So Pujya Swamiji, he had a sankalpa. He said, some people said, okay, maybe we should charge some money for people who come to eat food in our, premises, in the Gurukulam premises. Pujya Swamiji said, no, Bhagwan will take care of them. Something or the other will happen, but we will not charge a single penny because, you don't charge money to offer food to anyone. Whoever wants to come here may eat for free, and if they don't want to sit for Vedanta, it is okay. We serve, and it will be taken care of. And guess what? It got taken care of. Till date, nobody has ever charged a single penny for anyone, visitor ho, okay, kuch bhi ho, to go and eat at the Guru. Any Gurukulam that Pujya Swamiji established. So this Satya Vachanam, Ishvara knows that there are good people. But, what is this called? In Gita, na? Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yejana Pariyupasate Yuktanam Yoga Kshemam Mahamyam. This theme we will continue next time. I'll get into detail about how one can just fall into the lap of Ishvara, and Ishvara will take care of everything, provided we are truly, truly, sincerely committed to the pursuit. And who is more committed than the sannyasi? So the sannyasi will always be taken care of. It is the model that Sri Krishna has also stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, we'll get into more detail. So on that note, I will close and we will convene next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Namaste.
Thank you, Prashantji.
Thank you.